So one of the main focuses for leaders that we work with is they're driven often by a cause. Well, not even often. They're driven by cause.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not an
I would
official
say
statement,
that.
I think. So they're not
as we are.
As we are. So it's a characteristic of who they are and of their leadership. That having the idea that there's something that is important to them, something important to their community, something important to the places in which they live and interact, is driving them forward into doing something about it.
Yeah.
Right. And so cause-driven leadership becomes a term that we use to describe that orientation of the way we lead.
Yeah.
So that's not the only posture of leadership out there, but what makes this posture of leadership important for what we're talking about here today?
Well, the common posture is business
Yep.
or profit.
Sure.
Is the driver. And when profit's the driver, look, a lot of people learn leadership through profit-driven models.
Yeah.
And that typically doesn't focus a lot on why or the cause, because the why is money.
Sure.
And so the metrics, the evaluation, the target, all of that stuff gets geared towards money.
Yeah.
For good reasons, because people need jobs and they want to earn money. But if that's the downside of that is you just don't have time to go, is there a bigger purpose that we can achieve here? Or is money just it? But we go,
Sure.
There is another way of doing it, and that is cause.
Yeah.
And to say, focus on cause. It can reveal some whys. Now you can do something in that space.
Right. And so we would say that the why, so, Simon Sinek obviously talks about this a lot,
Yeah.
finding your why for not just an organization but for your business too, right?
Yeah,
so now
correct.
what's happening is this realization that money really isn't the key motivator. It's
a terrible motivator.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
We're not knocking it. We're not saying it's not part of everything of significant influence or meaning needs
Yeah.
to operate, and it has its needs.
Yeah, for sure.
So that and it's going to need resources to move forward. So this isn't a anti-capitalist conversation about
But it's not an anti-profit conversation
absolutely
either.
not.
Yeah.
No. But the order matters, right?
Yeah.
And also one can drive the other in a way that can sometimes compromise the other in a really unhelpful way. I think moving forward. Would that be fair?
See, I think that everyone is cause-driven.
Right.
Sure.
It's just whether or not you are intentional about it. Because even what you're describing there, profit, being driven by profit or driven by money, that is a cause. And for some people, maybe that actually is their cause.
Right.
For
Okay.
others, by default, it becomes their cause, because I'm arguing that if you don't become intentional about what your cause is, culture, society, the people around you will choose for you. So regardless of whether or not you're aware of it, I think everybody operates according to a cause. But it's a question of taking that, becoming aware of it, and then deciding if that actually is something that you want to assent to or be driven by. Because I just think it is a thing that exists.
Well, yeah,
Sure.
it is. So probably what we're highlighting here, though, is that when business dominates the marketplace, and say corporations dominate the marketplace,
Right.
corporations actually have laws around them that forbid them to make decisions on cause and morals. So they're meant to be amoral.
Yes.
And by definition, that means the people they serve is the shareholders
Yeah.
or the investors.
Yeah.
And so profit is not just their driver, it is their why fundamentally.
And
has
it
to,
governs them.
yeah, from a legal perspective, it has to be.
Yes.
But they now try to incorporate some other cause whys, but they're probably not allowed to have that interfere with the profit, realistically.
Yeah. What takes precedence when push comes to shove? Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, though, is a fundamental shift of starting with the cause,
And
which
being
changes it.
intentional about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not for profit, because you can have a cause,
Right.
as you say, you can have a cause and make money. Tom's Shoes is a great example.
Yeah.
But it's the starting place, isn't it? Yeah. Which is that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And just that if you don't decide, someone else will.
Yeah.
is kind of my thinking as well.
Sure. Or they'll think that you're heartless.
What do you mean?
Like they'll think the corporation is heartless.
Right.
Yeah. Because there still exists corporations that are actively going against what culture would consider a
Yeah.
very worthwhile why.
Yeah.
They just think that they're heartless and just out to make money and abuse the place. But
So I think that, look, I think the pivot to one of the areas where we talk about cause driven is us prioritizing that people are involved as well, right? This is
Yeah.
an element. So for us, well, it's look, the genesis of things like human resources within business is starting to see people as things. Like they're just tools.
Commodity.
It's commodity.
Yeah.
Because ultimately I can get rid of you, get somebody else just to literally do your thing and move on. And so the cause isn't part of it. The people aren't part of it. I don't see the people. I don't see the need. I just see a market opportunity. I want to deliver it.
Yeah.
And whoever gets in our way, we're just going to do it. Whatever is fine. What we're saying for us is the leaders who are saying we get all that, but actually we see people. And not only do we see people, we see their needs. We see the struggle, the disconnect. We see the things that are yet to be solved. We need to come up with creative solutions to do that. We
Yeah.
want to build agency, currency. We want to build some kind of level of relational capital with people so we can actually see things happen,
Yeah.
do new things. These are the elements of cause-driven leadership
Yeah.
where and why we say driven, it's not just cause-aware leadership, right? It's
Yeah.
not just saying we're aware of it, but it literally is the driving force
Yeah.
for why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Along the way, we are going to need to make sure we are viable. We're going to make sure that we are, communicating well. We're going all of these things, yes, are given. They're really important. But I think for me, to be cause-driven means you see the people and the need,
Yeah.
which is ultimately the cause. So
Which is what drives you.
Right. So
Yeah.
seeing people, so, whether it's in business, seeing your customer as a customer. There are plenty of businesses out there making lots of money, doing really well, but they see their customer
Yeah, sure.
and they create towards a need for their customer.
Yeah.
And as a byproduct, they're doing well
Yeah.
rather than just driving product towards a market, a nameless, faceless market, and just trying to say, you need this.
yeah.
Right.
And it affects who they bring in to work alongside them.
Sure.
Because they want them to share the cause.
Sure.
They want to have skin in the game or their heart towards
Sure.
the cause that they're also interested in. And that makes a difference. If people in your organization are all geared around the one cause,
Yeah.
going in the one direction, it's really helpful.
That's
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking even in terms of, because I have a background in education, right? And
Yeah.
and I've been part of a team where it doesn't feel like that. There should be a cause, or there's a potential for the cause to be a really powerful
Yeah.
element of
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
I would hope.
But there
Yes.
are environments where that is not the case
Yeah.
and where the cause is not shared, and it becomes a very different kind of every man is an island sort of environment, and you're missing out and you're negating the power of a shared cause.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just say it wouldn't be a stretch for us to immediately think of many people in education who, for some reason or not, don't understand that it involves children or adults who don't know things
Yeah.
or people with different backgrounds or different capacities, or that actually I've heard many, and I'll call them teachers, not educators, because I think that's my definition difference between them, that they'll it's like an inconvenience the recipient of the work that they do, right? But this posture where the why, the cause, the drive is to help a student, be of whatever age,
Yeah.
take their next step,
Yeah.
to learn their next thing, to gain their next opportunity moment.
And we all
to
know
step
teachers
in.
like that too.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why I would frame them as educators, right? Because it's like their cause, their driven purpose
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is around
is around
the
it.
people.
Now, they happen to do that within a certain context or an environment or a school or where it enables them to do it.
Yeah.
But that's the byproduct. How we that bit, they'll search for new opportunities, but they're like, want of a better term, like their North Star,
Yeah.
like their drive, we talk about the word compulsion in Project Nexus, their thing they can't help but drive towards,
Yeah.
the cause that they are driven towards, making a change and seeing something happening is fundamentally about people, and it's about the change. So I think for me, you can't divorce cause-driven and seeing people.
No, absolutely not.
That's the stickiness for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to like drill into that or like be specific.
Yeah.
Like there's cause, big picture.
Right.
And then there's sort of education. Let's use the education teacher. And then there's teaching. And then there's within that specifically what you would really like to do to make a difference. And then there's also the manner, like say you want to be a teacher with year one. And then there's also the manner in which you might get to do that. Like a state school has a posture of how they do education versus Montessori or like they're all different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And the more that you drill down and you can be specific about your cause and what drives you,
Right.
now you can be a real, like the catalyst for good is amplified in that moment then because you really know and you join with an organization that really knows and gets your cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all in it together.
Right. So specificity is really important at this point.
Yeah.
Well, again, you can't care about everything.
No,
Right?
Right.
correct. And we're raising the issue of catalyst for cause here or catalyst for good.
Yes.
And that cause matters.
Yeah.
But it takes effort to go into that, which is where Incubate comes in.
Yeah.
But at this level, we just want to highlight the fact that cause matters.
Yeah.
It's not a sideline issue.
Right.
Yes, and also that you actually have permission to have to be a cause-driven person.
Yeah.
Because I think for some people it feels like, particularly, I mean, based on vocationally where they find themselves, where in life, what's around them, they feel like maybe that's just not, but that's for other people, that's not for me. But we would argue the opposite and say that everybody is a cause-driven person or has the potential to be a cause-driven person, no matter what industry you're in.
If they've given themselves permission to care about a cause or to see a cause, and they're not just head down, blinkers on,
Well,
not conceive.
Their cause is probably fear. Or,
Maybe.
Or even to know you have something to offer, like what you're talking about there. Some people actually just don't think that they have anything to offer or a way that they can contribute to a cause or to helping other people or whatever it may be, or seeing change, or like some people actually don't know that that's something they have the capacity and potential to do.
Yeah.
And that's fundamental.
Which we would push back hard on as well.
100%. Yeah. To send someone, we'll talk to someone long enough and we'll get to the bottom of it. Like everyone has that in them.
Yeah.
Something they care about, something they see, something they wish they could be a part of making a difference in, something something they care about that much that it drives them forward.
Yes.
But again, we're going to, we unpack permission. We can't, it's like the Pandora's box of the word permission that we know we spend time in our Incubate program really sitting in that either they haven't given themselves permission or they're waiting on it from other people to actually think that, is that okay to care about that?
Yeah.
Is that okay to actually be something I commit time and energy, my life, is it something?
Can I make room for that in my work that I'm already doing?
Does anybody care?
Yes.
Does anybody else care about what I care about?
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can I make it work?
Yeah.
And on that, this is not an isolating activity. Like if you zero in on your cause, actually helps you to know how to join with other people.
Sure.
And you find them. Like, especially now, it's so easy to find people that are sold out to the same cause that you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy if you're willing to pursue it and talk
Correct.
about it.
Yeah.
And others are willing to pursue it and talk about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can be very easily convinced that nobody cares about the thing you care about.
Yeah.
No one's bothered about a thing, and no one would have a clue that you actually are driven towards caring about something. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So it's very easy to kind of shove it down, turn it off. Guys, I just got to get through life. I'll just do whatever. I'm literally marching, my grandmother's favorite saying, well, we'll all be dead soon. Like kind of nihilistic kind of idea that whatever, we're just kind of marching towards whateverness. Let's just fill our lives with busyness until then. And if it's not stuff we care about, then so be it. Who gets to do, I hear that all the time. Who the heck gets to do something they care about?
I hear that too.
What a luxury that must be to actually spend your life doing something you want. It's not an accident. You have to pursue it. You have to be, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not sitting here going, man, that's so easy. Why aren't you doing it? I'm saying, no, it's hard, but
it's something worth pursuing.
Right. Well, we're back to my well, back to my wife's statement of choose your hard, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's hard not pursuing the thing you care about with all of your life. It's also hard
Too.
doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. And so choose your hard. Either way, there's hard ahead.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going to go headlong into pursuing the thing I want to change, make a difference in,
Yeah.
see change the world, see people, affect change in people's lives, see if I can learn something along the way.
Yeah.
And that will be hard. 100% that will be hard. And sure, of course it will. It's going to cost me. It's going to take energy of me. But I'm in. Like, and so the question I guess for us is, what does it look like? So what does it look like to live without cause?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a reality.
Yeah. So what's the alternative?
What's
is
the
what
alternative?
you're saying. Yeah.
So what is the alternative? I guess the alternative is you start to care less about all
Languishing.
sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
Well, not only you start caring less about yourself,
Yeah.
you start caring less about other people.
For sure.
You start thinking that things aren't possible. You start thinking this is as good as it gets. You know, I hear a lot of people say that. Oh, this is it. This kind of this is it.
It's
Does it?
Thoreau's line, yeah.
Yeah. Or this
Most
problem
men
is
live
so
lives
big.
of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your grandmother.
Well, I'll all be dead soon. And she used to say that jokingly, but that's how, like a catchphrase. But you know, yeah, it's that kind of, well, you know, this problem is so big. What are you going to do about it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or this cause, this thing, these people.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Often the response is to just say, I didn't even going to think about it. It's too hard. I couldn't do anything about it. So I'll just ignore that it's even a thing.
Yeah.
I actually think what you just said there, you care less about other people.
Yeah.
It is very dehumanizing when you have to convince yourself not to see a need that you are somehow and for some reason attuned to seeing.
Sure.
If you are at a point where you, for some reason or another, you don't feel like you can pursue that or be a part of addressing it or step closer to it, and instead you dull or you numb that, it really is something that the impact is that you don't see other people quite as human, and you actually can't care as deeply because it's too difficult.
Yeah.
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 Well, look, let's get super honest and practical.
Okay.
So it's like unlike us. I burnt out for one of my last big roles, right? But I was in a big role doing something I ultimately really cared about. My cause was very clear. I was committing my whole life to it. There was risk involved. I was in. I was all in. And maybe was I too in? Maybe not, but I just the
Maybe
things
not in
around
a
me,
sustainable
the things
way.
around me weren't healthy, and the other things that supported me, because that's that's a whole other conversation. If you're going to go headlong on a cause, you better make sure you have the right things around you to help you be sustainable.
Yeah, sure.
That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But you know, when that kind of broke down, when that went, my response was to do exactly what we're talking about here. I chucked it all away, and I said, pursuing the cause in my life hurt me.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will no longer pursue my cause to protect myself.
For sure. Yeah.
Because it was hard.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ground to a halt physically, emotionally, spiritually, you name it. I was cooked. And that's not me having an overstatement. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
real thing.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, what I then did for a number of years is I went back through all of the things in my life that somewhat interested me, seeing if I'd missed something, or actually kind of saying, could I possibly do something else that might be a little bit easier and not hurt me?
Yes.
To be perfectly honest.
Yes.
I literally systematically went through them, and I'm like, I used to kind of do that. Is that a thing? Do I do that? I don't care about that quite as much. Could
But I still like it.
Could I get away with doing something I don't care about, and I'm not driven towards, but I don't hate? Like kind of. So I kind of experiment all the way through.
Yeah.
To the point where we find ourselves where we are here, sitting back at this table having these conversations, where ultimately, no, I'm driven back towards the cause of helping people step into what it is that God's got on them, or that they care about so much they can't walk away from.
Yeah.
That they're just like, I can't not do it, which is for me that driving of applied
In that
cause.
context, the model's changed, but the cause hasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the way that you're doing it has changed, but the cause hasn't
Sure.
changed. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's back to when you were talking about educators, that like you carry that with you, whatever the cause is, you carry it with you, even if your occupation or your title changes, your cause, if it's actually true to what's going
hard to
on and
shake
how
off,
you're
yeah.
wired,
Yeah.
it goes with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
To put it down is to put down a part of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to put that down and know it's just there,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's your quiet desperation, right?
Yeah. It's really tough.
To intentionally not pursue
Yeah.
and craft a life
Yeah.
that involves the thing you care about
Yeah.
is gut wrenching,
Yeah.
long term. I've lived it. It is actually, I think, harder
Yeah.
to suppress it
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's easy to pick it up either.
No, it's a process too. Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to take it all on at once.
No.
Like step into
and
it.
again,
Yeah.
part of the answer to that, though, I think, is what you said earlier. The more you can get specific with it,
Totally.
the better, because what can feel overwhelming about the things we care about and we're cause driven towards sometimes seems so big
Yeah.
Yeah.
that there's no grab handle.
It's not you in it. It's the big cause out here. But what you and what
The
we
bit I can do. Yeah.
what we can step into is just here.
Yeah.
And so you can't see that if you're looking at all of this. Yeah.
Well, it's that, it's when I talk about provision, like that kind of idea that if we were learning a dance, you don't learn the step here and then the step in 20 steps. You learn this step and then you learn the next step, which is right in front of that step.
Yeah.
Because to be perfectly honest, the step you need to learn
Yeah.
in 3 minutes over there is beyond you right now. But I think we get overwhelmed when it's big, when it's not specific, and it's not.
Well, it's
I'm
a
gonna
category.
Go to the next step.
It's a category when it's big.
Right.
Soccer's not a cause.
Right.
Being competitive or loving competition's a cause, or wanting to help your friends get better, that's a cause.
Right.
Or they're minute. They're small. Soccer's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
as, this might be controversial, but the same as Jesus is not a
That's what I was
cause.
gonna say.
Right.
He's not a cause.
No.
He's doing it with you.
Right.
Yeah.
He's saying, you and I are going to go and do something. What is it?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah. I care,
even
Jesus goes, I care about everything, all right? So
Right.
don't look at me.
Yeah, but you go, but me too.
Yeah.
And you simultaneously do absolutely nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, correct.
No, but as an organization, we work with people of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something that we sometimes find is that people's cause, sometimes they feel as Christians,
Yeah.
the cause is simply,
It should be Jesus.
yes,
Yeah.
but they might not say, my cause is Jesus. They might, but they might say, helping other people to know about Jesus.
Sure.
Again,
That's
not a bad cause.
it's more specific.
That is more specific, but and what or how?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that whole idea that the kingdom is expansive
Yeah.
and it contains so much creativity,
Yeah.
so many different kinds of people,
Yeah.
so many parts of the
Yeah.
what does it look like beyond just that? So you're right. It goes as well for faith. Like what exactly though, and how have you been made?
And I think
Yeah.
part of that,
Yeah.
the thing is we don't like getting specific because we feel like if we don't focus on, if we say no to certain things, that's a bad thing. But actually, you can't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Kind of caring about everything and doing nothing is not better than doing something specific and moving forward, right?
But being specific reveals your heart.
Oh, right.
So now that's dangerous territory.
Well, especially if you say it out loud to other people.
Yeah, because you're being authentic and then vulnerable with people by declaring it.
Yeah.
They might look at you and go,
Yeah,
do you
that's
care
dumb.
about that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's more to life than doilies.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but-
maybe there isn't for you. Like, it's,
But
Yeah.
and then you know what people tend to kick in right then is then they'll tell you all the reasons why being that specific is a dumb idea because they'll tell
Yeah.
you all the reasons it doesn't work.
because they don't care about it. But no one's asking them
Or
to
maybe
care
they
about it with
do,
you.
but they're so overwhelmed by it and challenged by this is the other thing, challenged by the fact that you're being specific.
Yeah.
It's not about me. When someone has a go at my thing, I go, I actually think that's probably less about whether they think I can do it. It's more about them saying, I don't want it. This is too much.
Yeah.
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 Like, but it's challenging to be honest with yourself, and then it's challenging to be honest in front of others. Just is.
Absolutely.
We know it. Like,
It is.
But the more that you can do that, let's face it, the more that you can do that with others, the more you can do it with God, the better we all are. Like,
And I
God
would
doesn't
say,
want cliches. He wants to
yeah.
hear your heart.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. Well, the irony is he already knows, right?
well, yeah, presumably. But
Yeah.
somehow we think we can hide it from him.
Correct, right? If
Yeah.
I just hide over here in a bush,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
he won't find me kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so, And ironically, others, if they're close enough to you, probably know too.
Yeah. Often
Right?
when you say it, they go, of course.
Of course. Yeah, that's right.
So true.
I'm making a bold statement. I'm going to actually
Yes.
pursue this with my
Like,
life.
finally.
And the people close, they're like, oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Like, you think it's some amazing
About
revelation.
time.
And they're like, you should have.
And?
You could have done that 5 years ago, man. Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that? But
Yeah.
But usually it's just that small group who actually know you, know you, and you've been. They watch you. They see because they see how you interact with the world. They see what you care about, and sometimes it takes us that little bit more time to decide that a cause is something worth pursuing. A cause is something we actually say, okay, how can I put to work what I'm good at, what I love, what I'm gifted in, what I see, what I notice? How can I put that my way, right? And not get into comparison and justification, but just say, this is my expression of this thing.
Yeah.
Could it be something? Could it be, this is what I want to give my life to?
Everyone thinks you're crazy until you do it.
Well, everyone thinks you're crazy when you're doing it. So,
Not always, but I know a lot of people that change lives through knitting. But if you were to say that out loud to someone before you actually do the knitting, to say, oh, I've got a passion for knitting and helping people to like just have joy in their life, people would go, right. But I know a lot of people that actually do that, give stuff away, and it totally anyway.
Yeah, but there's specificity in it. Right?
There is. And there's just owning it at the get-go and just saying, no, this is a thing for me. I'm going to do it.
And also just think about picking a cause that you think might be better received. Because I do think sometimes people do this. Instead of doing the knitting.
You think it will be accepted.
Yeah, I'll pick one that's legitimate or legitimized.
That other people care about.
Yes, and see how that goes. That's a life of quiet. Say it again.
Yeah, desperation.
There you go. That is as well. So it's not just pick a cause and go for it. It's pick your cause.
Right.
Because it's not just for the benefit of others. It actually also does something for your soul.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You think about, like, I didn't watch much of the Olympics. I didn't watch much of the swimming. But I do remember that British, I think he's a diver, and he sat in the grandstand knitting jumpers and stuff when he wasn't he wasn't on to do it. And he gives jumpers away and all that, whatever he does. But I don't remember his name, but I remember his joy at sitting there and knitting and watching people cheering them on.
Right.
Like, it seems like a silly thing for him to be doing as a young guy, knitting, but he loved it. And I remember him sitting there.
So to be a catalyst for good, then there's a couple of things in here. One ultimately is to be willing enough to step forward authentically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Because not pick
Own
someone
your
else's
cause.
cause,
Yeah, own your
not do
cause.
something else that you think is, someone else thinks is worthwhile, therefore you'll fit in. But what is it that's authentically you that you actually do care about? And it may be obscure, it may not be what everyone else thinks, because you actually may be an innovative leader. You may see things that other people don't see.
Yeah, correct.
The reality is you're not innovating if you are doing what everybody else already sees. By very nature and definition of doing something new, it's new.
Yeah, correct.
Because people will look at you and go, what are you talking about? And so usually a good sign that you are fundamentally onto something new. It's very easy to say something that everybody else already understands. So that level of being willing to be authentic enough to show up, try and be specific, understand that you have something of value to bring, that the need you see is real, that even if you just take that next step, do that next little thing, who knows where that next step leads to that next step, to that next opportunity, to that next conversation, to that we don't know. But trying to live a life disconnected from cause and purely in just spinning our wheels, ultimately is probably not sustainable. Well, not in a healthy way.
Not in a life-giving way.
Not
is it?
Not in a life-giving way. I think that's a really good way. Maybe that's a good way to end. Not in a life-giving way. And ultimately, I think if we're cause-driven, we want to life for ourselves and for those that we lead and we engage with.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.